Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your moderator, Viet Nguyen.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Well, thanks so much for coming out for one last time. This is going to be our last speaking event in this format. We'll be very happy to kind of intro to you a little bit more about what we're going to do in the future. Some will be online, some offline, some will be in our own venue. But this format will be gone. But don't be sad, there's going to be a lot more content that's going to come up. So we'll be very excited. But today, what's in the sauce? I've been dreaming about this day for about 13 years. And I'll explain to you why 13 years. Knowing these guys for about that long, I knew that there's one day I can bring them all back into one stage to share everything about what we've been doing for the past 10, 13, 15 years. And the first person I really want to talk about, and I have to print it out because I do not want to mess up his intro, which is Paul Tran. Now, Paul, my co-moderator today, opened his first restaurant in 2005 with student loan money, an investor crazy enough to trust him, and the overconfidence that came from ignorance. Long story short now, this one event led him to open so many doors, so many opportunities. He sold over 1,000 franchises, helped restaurant companies go public, international, get acquired, taught companies about system, and all sorts of milestones in between. Now today though, he currently is the largest franchisee of the Halal Guys. And together with his partners own 9 stores in Los Angeles and Orange County. He continues to pursue and consult restaurant for franchising. So please welcome to the stage, Paul Tran.
Yeah. That's a hard act to follow. Thank you, man. So there's no argument that content creation is a matter of life and death for businesses and people want to do their personal brand. But the biggest friction about creating content is, the content that you're doing is consistent. Whether people are relying on your content, whether you're doing it right and you're attracting the people you want to serve. And if that's you, then today's event is for you. If you're just starting off, you're not sure how to approach content creation, or if you have started creating content, but you're not achieving the level of success that you want, or you're not reaching the right people, this event is for you. I'm really excited about the 2 guys that we're going to bring on stage because they didn't start off as celebrities. They don't have any unfair advantages that are irrelevant or unrelatable to us. They're just 2 really, really hardworking guys that had a story to tell, just like all of us. And so we're going to show a quick little video introducing them before we welcome them on stage. So.
Hi guys, it's Andy Nguyen here.
Hi guys, my name is David Nguyen. I'm a chef and content creator.
My role in my business is the creative entrepreneur. My job description consists of branding, designing, marketing, content creating, a lot of everything and a little bit nothing.
Growing up, I always admired my mom's passion for cooking, which heavily influenced my decision to pursue a career in culinary arts. My kitchen training came from culinary school, working at Disneyland's Club 33 and the iconic French Laundry out in Napa Valley.
Food and culture mashup for me is important because I grew up bringing together nostalgia, pop culture. I love music, fashion, sports. A lot of my previous careers is merging into my current career in food and fashion.
I became a chef because I love cooking. I love creating memorable experiences by connecting with people through food. I am also proud to be Vietnamese, and I want to show the world that there's more to Vietnamese cuisine than just pho and banh mi. Ultimately, my mission is to build upon our cuisine and preserve it for the next generation.
My journey as a content creator is I enjoy sharing stories and being myself. I tell stories about my family, my success and failures, and I put it all out there to the world.
Since the pandemic, I decided to pivot and combine my love for cooking and creating content. I grew my following by sharing easy-to-follow recipes with everyone on social media. The transition from being in professional kitchens to being in front of a camera has been a huge learning curve, but I'm extremely grateful that I get to do this for a living.
Through this event, I want people to come and learn something new, Go out and try something different, get uncomfortable, and let unexpected things come from it.
Through this event, I want to share my story to inspire anyone with a dream to continue to chase whatever it is that you're after. Sometimes your path is unclear, sometimes it's rerouted, but eventually you'll reach where you want to be.
So I've been asked to introduce Andy, and it's hard to introduce someone who needs no introduction. So what I'll do is I'll just share some business advice that I've actually observed from watching and working with Andy for about 10 years now. The reason why he's so successful and the reason why he's had like 50 restaurants and he's traveled all over the world, including our crazy little stints in Pakistan and Qatar, which we talked about, is because he knows what he's really good at and what he's not good at, and he's violently compliant to that. What that means is that he's incredible about being creative and about branding and marketing, and he builds a team for accounting, for finance, for everything else that's needed to run a business. And that's allowed him to scale. That's what, most of us as entrepreneurs or creative people, we try to do so many different things, and because of that, we get buried and we can't get ahead and we can't scale. Andy's figured that out, and there's another side benefit is that he's just incredibly generous. And not only does he build a business around him to fill in his gaps, but also he just wants a bunch of people to succeed with him. So, I'm excited to share him with you guys.
Yeah, well, for me, my story about David, and I really want to talk about David because the story was really crazy, and seeing from where he was to where he is today is an incredible journey. So 2010, I was in between jobs, trying to figure out my own life. I could barely even make ends meet. During that time, I was traveling from Orange County to LA every single day to kind of try to look for the next job, really. And I work at multiple kitchens, and every time that I get back home, I leave around 8, 9 in the morning, doesn't get back home until sometime past midnight. And the only thing I could afford at that time was Lee sandwich on the way back. So past midnight, I remember vividly that day was around 1 a.m. in the morning, very tired, on my way back, passed by Lee sandwich, and just trying to get a couple of bread. Walked into the store, and this one young kid walking around the store by himself, running the store at 1 a.m. in the morning, doing graveyard shift. And we had a little bit of conversation, and at the end, he was like, well, are you a chef? Pointing at my stained chef coat. I was like, no, I'm not. I'm just a line cook somewhere in LA trying to, find my own calling. And so we had a little bit of talk, and then he was like, so how do you even get into this industry? How did you find a job? And for me, I was like, I don't know. I was just knocking on doors and do whatever I needed to do. Dishwasher, line cook, prep cook, whatever that's gonna pay me. And he was like, well, that's really cool. I really want to be a chef one day. And so I told him, be one. Quit whatever you're doing and just pursue it. And voila. And he then, we actually did not talk for like a little bit. And then we kept in contact. And I found out that eventually he went on to cook at French Laundry, Club 33 at Disney. And just looking at him going through all of that, and then launch an Instagram account, and now it's like, 700,000 followers. It's an incredible journey, incredible story, and I cannot wait to show you what's in between. And here we are, here I am, have a privilege of standing on this stage, inviting all of you in this moment together, sharing with him their story. So please welcome to the stage, David Nguyen and Andy Nguyen. All right. Was a cool story, wasn't it?
That is way cool.
Wow, what an intro.
All right, so thanks for coming today, and let's get right into it. Question number one, and I have a privilege of asking this first question because I really want to know. Understanding that from your upbringing, that's gonna have a lot of effects on you. So tell us about your life story. You have about 5 to 7 minutes, but walk us through the moment you were born, all the way into right now? So start out with Andy.
I guess a blip of my story is my parents came from Vietnam. Oh, my wife's here. I didn't even know she's here.
Surprise, surprise.
My dad fought in the Vietnam War as a pilot, and my mom came on here on a boat. If they didn't come over here into America, I wouldn't be born because they actually met each other here in America. And then I think my dad started off in North Carolina, my mom in Minnesota, and they ended up coming together and moving to sunny Orange County because my dad liked the beaches and the sun. And I happened to be born here in Fountain Valley. I literally grew up in this area my entire life. And I've been in this room very many times. This used to be a movie theater that I used to go to. The restaurant, I used to own Project Poke over in the same plaza. I used to go buy sports cars there. E and I used to be Blockbuster Video, where I was shoplifting and stealing movies with my friends. A lot of that random stuff, but Vietnamese culture, my parents tried to instill so much Vietnamese culture in me, and I had an older half-sister who ended up moving here when I was in 4th grade and teaching me about American culture at the same time. So I'm like fighting this identity of chasing, being respectful to my parents, but like trying to capture American culture and try to be cool around my friends. Trying to learn a lot about my own identity. I didn't speak my first words until I was like 4 years old, so I was always like the, slower learner, but I guess I was always observant, and I didn't speak very much until like later on in life. And I was a troubled kid. I hung out all the troublemakers, and I ended up getting kicked out of school. I got the worst grades possible. I was only passing choir and basketball. Anything that required studying and learning, I was failing all of it. And I got into this moment after I got kicked out of school of really digging deep and trying to envision what my real future looked like. I was like, hey, if I continue this path, I'm going to end up in jail. I'm going to continue disappointing my parents, and I don't want to keep doing that. So I kind of like envisioned this like new image of myself of like, okay, I love hip hop music, I love clothing, I love food, and kind of like mashed up this like character that I built for myself. And graduated college, graduated high school, went to college for like a year and a half, and I was like, this isn't for me. I'm not doing well in it. And my best friend basically convinced me to drop out with him, and we went into starting our first company in real estate. So I became a real estate appraiser at like 19 years old, which I had I had no right to be in real estate at 19 years old. I don't own a home. I have no idea what the lingo is. I don't even know how anyone would even allow me to go appraise their house. But over time, I learned a lot about building a team, business lingo, working with my friends, trying to be a leader. And after the real estate thing, I pivoted into my real passion, which is apparel. I love clothing. I love creating. And I started this brand called I'm King back in 2007. And we built it to a company of like 20, 30 people in the office, and everyone is my age, and I'm having a good time, and I'm doing things that I like. I thought I was going to pursue music, but I ended up working with a lot of rappers in terms of like putting my clothes on rappers and doing a lot of brand deals. And if you're in clothing for a long time, you see trends come and go, right? You see brands. Next year it's another brand, and I'm like, after 7 years, I'm tired of chasing this. This isn't as fun for me anymore. In between the time of having a clothing brand, besides just creating clothing, I became a storyteller in terms of blogging. If you had a clothing brand back in 2007 to 2011, if you didn't have a blog, like no one knew what was going on, right? And that was your social media platform at the time. So I had to learn how to become a writer, which I was terrible at. Obviously, I was failing English in school. So I just kept writing over and over again. I kept sharing different content. I kept building stories around characters around the staff that was in my office, right? So people that were in my office, when they'd go out, people recognize them and call them by the nicknames that I was writing them about. And one topic that just like kept standing out was I kept writing about where we're going to lunch every day. Right? I was trying to figure out, I was like, hey, where are we going to go to lunch? I'm just going to keep shooting and writing and talking about different spots in Little Saigon. And I would get emails all the time like, oh, thanks for sharing that list of these places. Those are the best restaurants I've ever had. And I was like, oh, I guess I have a knack for food discovery, right? And I wasn't into food that much. It was like my sister always recommending restaurants, and then we're going to try different places, and reviewing and Yelp all the time became this competition, me and my sister. And as I started exploring and writing more, I started digging into like food concepts and why I enjoyed certain dishes, or if I were to start a food concept, how would that work out? And
I ended up building this concept called After's Ice Cream and launched in 2014. And that was just a hobby. I didn't know what was going to happen. That thing just like took off and blew up. And I was like, oh, wow, I'm onto something now. And from there, people with years and years of experience in restaurant kept reaching out to me like, hey, can you help me with this? Can you give me advice on how to get my restaurant, fix my restaurant or do this and that? And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm down to help out. And from there, I just kept launching more and more concepts and just kept pushing different ideas forward. And I'm here today.
It's awesome. How many of you guys have ever been to After's Ice Cream? That milk and cereal, though. All right, so same question for you. That's a really cool story. I mean, I no matter how many times I've listened to that story, I still get goosebumps every time. So David, same questions. Your upbringing, how did you be here today, your family, yourself?
My story is somewhat like Andy's, minus the shoplifting. So my parents are refugees known as boat people. Post the Vietnam War, they fled from Vietnam and kind of risked their lives just to flee the country in search of a better life. So they fled Vietnam, ended up in the Philippines. We ended up on an island, a refugee camp called Palawan, Philippines.
And how old were you?
I wasn't born yet. So my brother and I was born in Palawan, Philippines, for those that don't know. And we were there my parents were there for 7 years. I was born there, grew up, and till the age of 5. My dad was a fisherman, mom was selling fish at the market. But eventually, the crisis of people fleeing the country and just ended up in Malaysia, Philippines, it just got out of control. And so the United Nations said, hey, if you guys agree to go back to Vietnam, we'll open up a program to allow you to be sponsored to go to the States. So my mom and dad didn't see a future for us in the Philippines, so they obliged and moved back to Vietnam, hoping that they keep their words and open up that program. So that's what they did. When we went back to Vietnam, mom had to provide somehow. My dad became a mechanic, and mom opened up this street side gum tam shop and if you know street food in Vietnam, it's like on plastic tables and low stools on the street. And that's how she provided for the family. And I grew up around that, just watching her cook, waking up at 4 a.m. to prepare. And cooking back then, like we think of cooking now as, we have stoves and propane or all gas, but cooking back then, you have to wake up extremely early, marinate the meat, start the charcoal, because you're grilling the meat on charcoal grills. And I grew up around that. I witnessed that. And so that's how she provided for us. And from that small gum tam shop, she eventually opened up a pho shop, like a small, rented out space, and still low plastic stools. And we received the invite from the United Nations, say, hey, we opened up this program because your family decided to flee or decided to leave the Philippines at this certain time frames. You're allowed to be interviewed to come to the States. So luckily, we passed the interview, came to the States, and ended up in Orange County. Mom really loves to cook, really loves to just being hospitable, but because she had to provide for the family, she had to go and do nails. Dad, from being a mechanic to now is doing construction to make ends meet. So while my mom was doing nails, in order to take care of my siblings, my younger brother, younger sister, I had to, pick up the job of learning how to cook and just to take care of them. And to go back to that intro earlier of Viet saying oh, he was just this kid working at Lee Sandwich, that was prior to me getting into culinary. My biggest influence was my mom, but all throughout high school, I didn't really know that I wanted to become a chef or whatever. It just kind of happened. When I met Viet back in 2010, just this kid working graveyard shifts at Lee Sandwich, not knowing what I was gonna do with my life. Then I just see this guy came in dressed in a chef coat at 1 a.m. and I was like, hey, like, how do you become a chef? You know, how do you get started? And he just basically laid out, you know, oh, this is what you do, go apply just to do anything. So from there, I took his advice, signed up for culinary school, went and knocked on the first, I don't know if you guys remember, there's a fine dining restaurant in the Westminster Mall Plaza called S Fine Dining. I literally Googled best Vietnamese restaurant in Orange County because in order to be, you know, skilled at what you do, you have to go work for the best, right? So as fine dining popped up, I went and knocked on their door, no kitchen experience, and I said, hey, I don't have any experience. Can I come in and wash dishes? Right? And of course, any restaurant, anybody comes in and say, hey, can I come in and wash
That is
dishes?
true.
Right? You're
is
gonna
true.
get the job. So I got the job and just basically learned everything I could. So from S Fine Dining, I learned how to cook. They later introduced me to ESPN Zone down in downtown Disney, and I got my plug to go work at ESPN Zone. And from ESPN Zone, I was introduced to one of my sous chefs basically said, hey, there's this job opportunity, it's called Club 33. I had no idea what it was at the time. You should apply for it, you know? And then I kind of I looked it up and I psyched myself out and say, I'm not ready for this, the food is too fine. But I was like, you know what, F it, I'll apply anyways. And I did, I took that chance and applied, got the job, worked there for almost 2 years. From Club 33, I then left to go to train in Vietnam to, you know, improve my Vietnamese cuisine. After Vietnam, ended up at the French Laundry, and just one thing just happened after another, right? And the higher you climb in the kitchen world, or I like to say like the process really weeds out the weak. It really shows you who really wants it or who's really about it. Um, my experience at the French Laundry really, you know, kicked my butt trying to survive in Napa, all while making on a chef's wage was probably nothing. On top of that, the pressure of working in a high-level kitchen and having no work-life balance. So I decided to take a break. During that break, my mom really said, hey, you know, during your break, go get a nail license. You know,
There you
keep
go.
yourself busy so you're
Be
not,
real.
you know, sitting around and doing nothing, right? So being a good son, of course, I'll do it. I'll get a nail license. So that's what I did. So for those of you who don't know, or my audience don't know this, I'm actually a trained nail tech, like a licensed nail tech, right?
Not stereotypical.
Right, and during those, I took a break from, I stepped away from cooking for almost 3 years, and I did nails for almost 3 years. And during that time is when I picked up camera skills and photography to just hopefully, as a hobby in case I wanted to switch careers or just something other than cooking, right? So that's what I did for 3 years, and it was 2019 that I got a wake-up call, like a huge wake-up call, because from 2017, or 2016, 2017, I was just in this depressed state because I was just chasing my dreams of culinary and just having it not work out, and then I was just depressed and also having an identity crisis, like, oh, I'm this chef, but I'm here rubbing old ladies' toes, and, you know, it was kind of tricky you know, on my mind. So, but 2019 happened, and it took a passing of a family member to really wake me up from just that headspace. I lost my sister in 2019, and she passed away at a young age, and I was thinking to myself, you know, like, my sister Trang didn't get to live out her life. What am I doing with my life? sitting around being depressed, like why, right? So I was like, you know what, F it, I'm gonna get back in the kitchen. Applied to another 3-star restaurant in San Francisco called Benu. Got the job, and when it was time to come to start that position, probably like 2 days before I moved to San Francisco to, basically get back in the kitchen, get back to hustling, we got the announcement that COVID has happened, or there's lockdown everywhere, and because of that, I lost my position, right? So during COVID, everybody's at home now. I then took my camera skills and photography skills and cooking skills and just decided to say, hey, I'm at home now. I have nothing to do. Why not just create recipe videos and share it with the internet? And from one video, nothing happened. It was just second video, nothing happened. But third video, fourth video, fifth videos, I was really consistent about just sharing, or passionate about sharing these recipes with social media. And that's when I grew 5K overnight. And that to me was like, whoa, like what's going on? So I just kept feeding the system, and from 5K ended up to being 10K. And within a year, I was at 200K. So that's how that's how my story went from, this refugee camp to now sitting on a stage in front of everybody, sharing my story along with Andy. Yeah.
That was a crazy story. Oh, guys.
So I actually thank you for sharing, and I, because this event is, meant to hopefully encourage or inspire content creation. I wanted to shift gears and chat about the mindset going into it, because I think a lot of people have this fear or story that they tell themselves that prevent them from sharing their story about creating content. So I was kind of curious to know, what kind of things or what kind of myths that people tell themselves that they need before they create content, like they need a certain personality, or they need a certain type of equipment, or they need a team. What are fears or myths that you hear a lot that prevent people from creating content, and also maybe some fears that you guys overcame as well?
For myself, I guess creating content, I was not comfortable with being on camera for a very long time. If I pull it back to my clothing company days, any interview that would come up, I would avoid it. I was like, I'm not doing the interviews. I'm not ready. I don't understand my story yet. I'm not ready to speak, so I would completely avoid all of it. And I think as I continued to I was like, I have to step, as the company started shifting and it needed me to step up to the plate, I was like, okay, the more I started sharing about myself, the more people started reaching out. And I was like, okay, I guess it's definitely not, it's not about me, it's about everyone that's asking these questions. It's about helping other people. That's why I jumped into, in business in the first place. And as I started creating more content, I was like, hey, well, people want to be engaged, they want to be entertained, right? You're on their phone because you're looking for that dopamine hit that we always talk about. So I started learning more about, taking away from the long-term content of blogging to sharing more of my stories in social media. And I used to be super consistent. I was posting every day. I was on my phone all the time. I was completely checked out from the real world. And I think that myth is you don't need to. So now I don't post a lot of things for months. Some things I'll post 6-7 months ago. Everyone's like, oh, you just went there. I was like, no, I just been holding that in my phone. And when I'm ready to tell that story or share it, then it's here already. And I've already built it well in my head on how I wanted to share it with the public.
So you don't share it instantly? Not all the time?
I don't want people to know where I'm at, so I rarely share instantly where I'm at. Yeah. These days it's tricky. I have a family and stuff, and I try to keep certain things private and things that I don't have to put. And I also now miss that you have to put everything out there. I don't have to put everything out there. I'm framing things I want to share. If I go through failures, sometimes I'll hang on to those failure stories for I'll hang on to them 3-4 years until I'm ready to share it. And then, at 4 years later, now that failure is I'm laughing about it because, it was a part of my journey that helped me get where I'm at today. So I'll just hang on to a lot of that.
Got it. What about yourself?
I think one of the biggest myths that people tell them, or that I hear nowadays, is that you have to have, all the gears, the lighting, expensive cameras or, and like you said, or people would say, I don't have a personality for making content, right? But I feel like those are that's the mindset of 2010 onwards, like the YouTube era is what I call it, right? Because back then, like for a YouTube video, like when you watch YouTube, you see like it's very high produced, it's perfect, it's color graded and everything. But in today's market, anybody can make it, anybody, because as long as you have a phone, you could create content. Because nowadays people just want that rawness. People just want to connect. People are looking for people who are genuine behind the screen. When they see stuff or videos or content that is overly produced or just such a high, like highly produced video, they tend to scroll away from it. So that's one of the myths that I hear, yeah, for today.
Because it's not relatable, right? It's like, I can't do that, so you just check out, right?
Yeah, and then you just kind of intimidate yourself, and then you just never start. Yeah, and then I think the number one thing today, if you have a desire to create content, is just start. Yeah.
Start something.
And finding niches, finding a niche, I think is always important. If you want to grow, there's tons of different niches. There's like something for everybody these days. Like there's travel ones. There's things about sports. There's like certain pages for certain things. And if you have a hobby that you like and just continue to post about it, it just needs one video to catch fire. Then you'll see things just take off. And instead of just doing it for fun, it becomes something that generates income in a business and a new career path for somebody.
So from what you say, the two things would be consistency and content.
Consistency and value. How are you serving? How are you adding to someone who's behind the screen? What are you helping them with their lives? For me, there's a couple boxes that I check off. Is it entertainment? Is my video gonna entertain them? Is it gonna help them learn how to make rice or learn how to make crawfish, or whatever? Is it helping them get in the kitchen and cook something? Those are the boxes that I check off. And to go back on earlier, when you said that people think that they need to have a personality, I say that's wrong, because I know I have some friends in here that don't even talk in their videos, or just people who are crushing it, peers that are crushing it, who aren't even talking. So they're not even showing their personality at all. They're just letting their work speak for itself.
Yeah. I like that. Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, didn't really think about it that way. Yeah. But that really segue right next to my next question I was going to ask. So based off of whatever you just told us, what would be the next big thing? And you said, like, what is the next platform that's out there right now? If you have to name 3 things, how do you engage with people right now? Is it Thread? Is it TikTok? What is the next big thing to your?
There's so many different platforms for different things, right? And they all work differently. And the algorithms and things and all these crazy words, it's always changing. So, I use LinkedIn for different kind of posts, right? They want to know about business advice, and they want things that are focused on that. And when I use Instagram, I'm doing a lot more storytelling through my stories and building that into my highlights. And then now YouTube Shorts is pushing you to post content on there. And then TikTok wants something different, and they're always and there's like 7, 8 platforms that I'm posting when I do post, but these days I rarely post, I don't post every day anymore. I'm waiting for certain moments or a certain subject matter that I want to push out to the public, and that's when I post.
What is your feedback on the, I would say, obviously on YouTube Short, there's some sort of pay, right? But if you on Instagram stories, or if you on another platform, out there, that's even TikTok. I know TikTok pays some, but it's very different metrics. So are you suggesting people now to go into more YouTube Shorts versus stories? How does that work?
I think if it's for someone new coming in, trying it, I think you need to try all platforms.
Okay.
And then you'll start seeing some work, some engagement on others will just skyrocket and it's a little slower here. And I think you just got to try different things for different platforms. And once you start understanding your niche and what catches fire, then you can continue to run with that.
I see. Yeah. How about you?
I say that people shouldn't focus on the new best thing, right? Yes, hop on board when it comes out. For example, like the recent release of Threads, right? Everybody hopped on so fast, like one of the quickest growing apps, but now barely anybody's using it, right? So always play with, with what's available to you already. For example, Reels, TikTok, Short, and I'll add Snapchat on there too. And to
Or
answer your
the current Snapchat shows.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
For Andy, it's you use every platform differently. Reels, I use it differently. I do create one video for all platforms, but in order to maximize those platforms, you need to use those platforms differently. Like Reels are different. Your TikTok, the audience on TikTok is different. The audience on YouTube is different. And for people that's starting content and looking to get paid and make money off content, then I would highly suggest focus on YouTube because YouTube is one of the biggest paying platforms. For Instagram Reels, once you create an audience, once your way of monetizing is through brand deals. Same with TikTok, but you'll notice that the dollar amount is different from Reels versus TikTok videos.
I see.
Because the algorithm on TikTok is very different from the algorithm on Reels. But YouTube, on the other hand, is a steady amount from AdSense. So if I were to start over again, completely at ground zero, I would focus all my time and energy into YouTube.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny that you guys never actually mentioned one of the largest platform out there, which is X. So do you guys even use it at all? Like, does it have any effect to your business?
Twitter, I used it a lot last year when I was in the NFT crypto world, and I was on that thing every day on Twitter, Discord, which I absolutely hate being on. Like I was like, I need to get rid of Discord. I can't stand on it's like customer service 24/7 being on there. But yeah, it's a lot. It's very consuming, and it takes up a lot of, being on all these platforms do take a lot of time, and now it's just trying to figure out which ones I want to focus on these days.
I do want to highlight that, right? So for me, I feel David is more online, I would say creations, content creator. For you, you actually offline, real product in real life. And obviously you guys have like very different focuses, but from what you say, I mean, obviously Instagram's still pretty standout, right? YouTube still pretty standout for you, but for you, it's a little bit more interactions. So LinkedIn has been something that popped up from your side.
Yeah,
so
I got a
similarities.
lot of people reaching out on LinkedIn on partnership deals, brand deals, collaborations.
Interesting.
Different kind of vendors that we need are through LinkedIn that reach out. You get a lot of spammy messages at the same time, but I think LinkedIn is important. I think that people overlook it, and I tell people, I was like, I made a lot of money from LinkedIn. Like it's brought me so many brand deals that I wouldn't have gotten those opportunities if I didn't focus on LinkedIn.
Wow. Yeah. Well, marketing team, you heard that, right? Take notes on your LinkedIn.
I actually wanted to add for LinkedIn. So I'm actually having quite a bit of success on X and LinkedIn as well, but that's my franchise selling work. Like a lot of restaurants that I consult for when they're selling franchises, I've actually been posting a lot on X and also LinkedIn.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On X too?
Yeah. So, but for them, it's less visual, right? It's more like worded content and more article based.
So just different audience for different apps.
You really have to kind of hone into it, really study it.
Yeah.
And like, by the way, like this is for all the audience. This conversation right now is not rehearsed. We did not talk about this. We give them a bunch of questions. So I'm learning it as much as you do right now, which is really great because we want to keep this as authentic as possible because these guys bring so much value into the table and I want to learn it at the same time with you. And so thanks for sharing all of that, especially the LinkedIn part. I did not really think about it that way, but now you put it that way, the brand deals are amazing. But how did you get your brand deal? Obviously not through LinkedIn, but is that directly through Instagram?
Most of my brand deals come from Instagram and TikTok.
TikTok,
Yeah.
okay, that's awesome.
I don't use X or Twitter at all because, I mean, some things you think about, that shouldn't be for public. And,
That's true.
Yeah. I think Paul and I had a conversation about that backstage, but yeah.
But that's all great info. Thanks so much. I learned so much today, just from that.
Yeah. So another question I had was, since there's so many tools, like right now there's so much like technology and tools, and of course AI kind of like is like the big thing right now when it comes to like things like video editing and recording. Is there like is there like your number one tool that you believe is like a game changer that you've recently tested and tinkered with or purchased that has like changed your life when it comes or made content creation easier at all?
I can't speak for myself, but my partner Kevin, who's here, he's been using AI editing apps to work on like a lot of our Sonic Speed Cafe stuff. And he said it's been like life changing how the algorithm is or how it's reading to edit these videos. He's like, hey, I just did this edit in like 5 minutes. I was like, what the, like,
Kevin, what's that tool? What's
Yeah,
that one
what's
tool?
that called?
But
apparently the ticket sales today is not covering that. So I mean, next time
but
we'll
what,
raise it up a little
is
bit.
it AI editing? Is
it's
what's
AI,
been,
it's,
is been a
he
game
uses
changer?
AI to edit the videos, but I don't like editing like any editing videos and edit photos. I used to edit photos to like Snapseed, but these days I'm like I'm just over it. I'm just gonna post it and whatever happens happens. And if I need to edit a video, I'll use InShot myself. But normally I'll probably hire someone to edit the video for me. Yeah.
Got it, got it. What about you?
I didn't have an answer earlier, but I thought about it. But my one tool that I find very helpful and very useful is a really good microphone. Because audio is very important when it comes to videos. Like when you're watching a video, when you're scrolling, and if the video quality is low, but the audio is just so crisp and clear, you would stay and watch that content more versus, a video that is just, or that a video that is just sounds terrible and eerie.
What's the microphone that you use?
I use I'm not being sponsored for this, but I use a DJI lav mic. So it's like a magnetic, like very compact. It looks like a Apple AirPod case, and you just flips, and I take it with me everywhere.
So DJI, if you're listening to this, there's a brand deal right there for you.
How much did it cost you? Just out of curiosity.
It was an investment about $350.
$350?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Worth
it's
every penny?
small investment.
Yeah.
It's interesting that he said that though, because actually our first few events, we could not even publish it because of bad sound.
Yeah,
Oh.
And now that you said that, like absolutely
very
true.
important to
Very important.
focus on good audio.
Yeah, we couldn't even release it or right now, I mean, having all these microphones has been a journey because in the first few events, we have to have regular microphones and shout out to Mike. I mean, obviously he's doing a great job here getting the sound system up and running. But to be honest with you, like without sound, we wouldn't even have any productions. So yeah, it's a very great point for sure. Yeah, so my next question would be, this is a selfish question. I know that there might be someone out there probably gonna ask this question, but I'm asking it for myself. So there's this unicorn in this whole world that workaholics like us try to chase, and it's something that's called balance, right? Work-life balance, family-work balance, you name it. I can never find a balance myself. So talk to me a little bit about how you even find your balance, right? How do you even find your balance? And for you too, like how do you even find your balance? And what is balance to you? And what is this mythical creature that we talk about here?
Balance is trying to keep my wife happy. Balance, that's a tricky thing, like I think you have, in terms of like I guess being an entrepreneur, or if you want to be a great content creator, like you gotta be a little crazy, you gotta be a little crazy, right? Like a little more extreme than everyone else out there to be able to go out and pursue these things, because your chance of success is very, very low to what we do, right? So I think in the beginning, like, yeah, you have to go all out and put everything into it and learn all the tools of the trade to make sure you master it and understand what you want out of it and what you're looking for. And I think over time, once you get there, that's when you can start like, figuring out like, hey, I need to start, these are the things that I'm really good at. I'm gonna focus on this, and so that I can have time to still really have a life, right? And for me, I'm trying to pick up different hobbies. I have kids, and trying to stay off the phone is not easy because we're trained to be on the phone all the time. And I try to have time blocks to do things now. I I added working out as a new thing to like clear my mind, so I'm not thinking about work all the time. And it's not easy. It's something that I think everyone is continuously chasing. I may never reach it, but I'm definitely better. I feel like I have a better balance now than I did 10 years ago, or maybe even 15 years ago.
Would you say that maybe because also the team behind you would help you kind of put your
Yeah,
life in balance?
I think once I was able to hand off reins, like I was comfortable of like, hey, I can't do all this anymore. I need the help. I know that, you don't want me in the kitchen, so I'm gonna have someone else like work that's gonna handle the kitchen side. I don't like dealing with legal things, so I handle my partner who talks to our attorney all day, and I don't like looking at numbers and math. So I was like, hey, you're gonna handle accounting, but I do like, I was like, I do like my time to create. I like going out to explore. My partner hates being around people, but I like being around people, so I was like, I'll take that role. It's just like filling the gaps and just finding out what works and finding our secret sauce and what makes everything gel together.
How do you shut off? Like I find it extremely difficult for me. So let's just say when I hang out with my kid too, right? It's extremely hard for you to, like, let's just say you're putting out fires all day long. And you know that you have that time block that you want to spend with her, obviously, or him. How do you shut off and just be in the moment?
Well, I try my best to, right? I try my best all the time. Sometimes we get that habit where we're running back to it. We're trying to multitask and
Yeah.
I am a terrible multitasker. So these days I'll just go plug in my phone, charge my watch, and then I'll go in the other room, and that's how I usually just shut things off.
So you literally have to like.
And I know I only have,
physically
and
have
we
to create
physically.
also, as a parent, you only have a few hours with your kid after they get out of school, and now you only got like 3-4 hours. And I also know that I know how to work really well late, so it's getting them down to sleep, and after we get them down to sleep, I'm back to doing work. If I need to take any additional calls, then I'll do it at that time frame, after the
So-
kids are out.
Yeah.
And then shutting off completely, then I do a lot of, I still watch, like everyone's like, how are you able to watch TV shows and stuff? I was like, I still need to know what's going on with the world, right? I'm like, I need to be instilled with pop culture and be on top of things. So I still watch TV shows. I'm like, last week, I was like, I'm gonna stay up and watch this One Piece show. I need to catch up. I need to learn about all this, and I got dialed in. But yeah, I still
keep
find
up
time
with
to
the
shut off in
Kardashians.
different ways, like Netflix and stuff. Yeah.
But yeah, so another thing that I don't know if you guys really picked out from Andy's answer was time block. This ideology of time blocks was actually, if you talk to multi-billionaires or millionaires, there is this something called, they don't have checklists, right? They don't do checklists. The checklists are being handled by their executive assistants or the people for the team, but they have this idea of doing time blocks and intense focus in that time block. So for me, I have to focus on that now too, like trying to maintain my balance. I found out I can't multitask, right? So the time blocks idea is that, let's just say that 15 minutes, all you're gonna do is you're gonna answer emails. So intensely go through and really block it through. Is that how because you mentioned it, time block. So you need to have that time block, and you block everything else out, and then you just completely tell your assistant or whoever your team, like, do not call me during that time, but that's for family.
Yeah, so I have my calendar. I have my calendar every day. I have like my meetings, boom, 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 boom. So I'm like, hey, you have this for me for 30 minutes. You have me for an hour, and I'm in and out. Like, and a lot of times I do a lot of in-person meetings, so I have to be smart with my time blocks, right? I don't want to be late to my meetings. I don't want to knock it out, and I want to make sure the person who's meeting with me is getting as much value as possible. Whatever deal I'm trying to broker or put together. Yeah.
I see. Same questions. Balance. That unicorn, man.
It's tough because I think it's something we're all constantly chasing. Like even now, yeah, it's really hard because being a creator, a content creator, or just being an entrepreneur pure is like you always have things popping up that is unexpected. But to help me stay balanced, I meditate, and I think just being present, like you said, the time block, being present with anything that you're doing. For myself, I meditate when I'm working out. I just strictly focus on working out. And the ultimate thing that helps me focus the most or be present the most is practicing jujitsu. Because if you're not present while you're training, right, you're getting arm barred, you're getting kimura. So jujitsu has been a new thing that I picked up recently that really helped me to be present. So the important thing is just being present with anything you do for that amount of time.
So you can't just balance by doing multiple things in your head.
Yeah.
You really need to like zone in to that one zone, have a time block, just block
Exactly.
out everything else.
Yes.
And just do that for that short burst amount of time.
Yeah. And then that's it. And then
move
you
on.
don't think
Then that's
about it
And then
again.
don't think about it and
Yeah.
then move on to the next.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be the same for me. My marathon journey right now, because I'm so tired from running. I don't want to die, so I'm just straight. I'm focused. I just need to make it through this run. Like I'm not here to film any content. I just gotta make it through. So
It's like forced presence,
yeah,
right?
forced presence. Yeah.
Forced presence.
I dig that.
Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I think this is our last question for me. I mean, I guess that goes hand in hand with the whole time block and time management balance. But I was actually kind of curious, with a lot of people in the audience who also run businesses, who also have families, who have other obligations. Is there a certain routine that you do honor in order to do your best work? Is there like a certain time that you block out, or like Mondays is for ideation, Tuesdays filming day, or do you batch things? I kind of curious to know how you organize your work.
My must-haves or must-dos every day for me is like I have to meditate, I have to work out and be active. Those are the musts. But processes are always changing. For my content creation process is always changing. And it's something that I'm still figuring out because in the cooking space, the cooking niche is very important versus, I don't know, making a dance TikTok, right? Dance TikTok, the process is just maybe choreograph, practice the move and then set up the phone and then you film and that's it, right? But for cooking content, it's different because it starts from menu planning. Like I'm planning out the weekly, what I'm gonna film and shoot for the week. And then it goes into R&D because I have 600 or I don't know of the combined following, all these people online following me, trusting me for my recipes. And if they're making it, I don't want that recipe to be a bad recipe, right? Because they're spending their hard-earned money and I want that to be a good recipe. So the next step would be research and development, making sure that recipe is good. And after that is filming, editing, and then after that, posting. So that's one of the process, but it's still something that I'm still figuring out and try to flow with.
I love that. I love the fact that you said that, like, you don't have your process fully refined yet.
Yeah.
So you don't need to have a fully refined process to just start doing the work. creating
Exactly.
The content.
Yeah, because it's something that you'll figure out as you continue on your content creation journey. And like I said earlier, the most important thing is to just start, right? Start getting into the motion, build that momentum, keep that momentum going, and then that process will come to you. You'll figure out what works with your schedule. Because right now, it's like I'm trying to balance in, going to the gym or like trying to be consistent with my jujitsu training and trying to balance that on top of content creation and not, let my business suffer because I'm doing things for my physical health. But, it's just to scale this never-ending chase of balance.
My process, a lot of, in terms of to create or being on top of my game, I have this thing where I try to eat, or I try to have a different experience, one different experience every single day. Whether trying new places to eat, going to go visit a place I've never been to. So I have this, like if you look at my Yelp bookmarks, it's insane, right? Like it's crazy. I've definitely visited, over the last like 15 plus years, I've definitely done over 10,000 different restaurants like on my list.
I believe it.
I've visited, if you've traveled, if anyone has ever traveled with me knows, if we're going on a trip, I'm probably gonna eat like, in one day, I'm like 7, 8 places already hit my list. Like, I think my craziest has been like 17 in one day. Like, so I'm always trying to be sharp on top of my game, learning.
17 restaurants in one day?
Yeah, 7 hours in New York, I think one time. I was dragging them, just like, here, we're $1 pizza store here. Next around the corner, we're getting dumplings here. We're going to this corner. So we're eating, or we're boxing it. We don't finish our food, we'll give it away to the less fortunate. and we're moving on to the next place, or our fridge will be filled up with a bunch of stuff, but I am trying to stay on top. That's how I'm usually on top of my, my creativity and open-mindedness to things. I'm always trying to experience something different, even though there's, most amazing restaurant I had is right there. I'd rather try the new restaurant that might be the worst experience because I want to know what this new experience is like.
I love that. I love how like their answers are different because there's no one set way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think people can stop with the excuse about I need a certain way to process, or I need to somehow fit it in, or it needs to be neatly packaged into my schedule. But it's not necessarily true. So
Something
I
to
think
keep your
that-
fire alive too, right? I mean, as content creator or like brand creations, or when you create something, there's this kind of need that within you that you have to keep your fire going. And at one point where like if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, your fire gets suppressed.
Yeah.
And I found it a lot of times, and to be honest, like, I mean, we're here, we have 1,000 employees and a bunch of restaurants. But I find the work to be repetitive all the time, and sometimes I feel depressed. I mean, obviously, and we're going to talk about that, right?
Yeah.
But I really feel like what you just shared just now is how to keep the fire alive. Like, you need to try differences all the time, different experience, and I think that's very important especially for content creator or creation of any kind.
Yeah, no, that's very important because I mean I learned that the hard way. I got my crazy growth because of having a fire, right? But I learned it the hard way by taking so many breaks because that growth came so fast. You know, it just came out of nowhere. All these emails started coming in, brand deals started coming in. I couldn't juggle everything, you know. So that's when I decided to pick up management, you know, work with an agency to be represented, and then I'll build that fire again. And I was like, oh snap, it's growing too fast again. Then I step away for a little bit. I let that fire die, and I'm in this constant battle of trying to keep it going at a healthy pace versus grow super fast, super quick, and then be burnt out, and then taking a huge break for like a month or two to try to figure it out again and get back into it. So if you are starting your social media journey or a content creator journey, you have to find a process or a way to keep it growing consistently at a a steady pace versus like a viral video that did really well for you, and then next thing you know, you don't have any content to follow or to follow up with that viral content. Yeah.
I think it's something that, and I watched this podcast from Mr. Beast. I don't know if you guys know Mr. Beast, obviously the #1 YouTuber in the whole entire planet, right?
Yeah.
And he talks about this too. Every time that he has a new high, a new hit, that gives him this kind of like anxiety or like almost being depressed for a really long time. Like, how do I even top that?
Yeah.
You know, like so it gives kind of like for us too, like every time that we launch a restaurant and the success is there and we see more people coming in, and immediately everybody's like, congratulations for all your success. But on top of my head, I'm not thinking about the success.
Yeah.
Now I'm scared. I'm scared to even lose it. I drop the ball. What I'm really scared about is disappointing the team. And I think you can relate.
Yeah.
Like, I think disappointing yourself is one thing, but disappointing the team is extremely hard on us,
Yeah.
right? And so now I'm scared, we're in that depressed stage, and so that leads to, I mean, I'm gonna sneak this question right in.
Do it. Do it.
Mental health and depression. A lot of people don't really think about it this way, but creators like ourselves, we consider as liberal arts, meaning art that we cannot explain. Things like you taping a banana on the wall with a duct tape and sell it for $200,000 and people buy it. That's liberal art. Liberal art just really means that do whatever the hell do you want as long as people buy it. As long as it makes people feel good about it. Your content, you post it up, a first few videos, not really much, right?
Yeah.
But as time goes along, you got that momentum. Or for you, the first brand, well, I mean, obviously you do multiple things, and by the time that you really get to have that one brand, you really hit it off. So talk to us a little bit about that. How do you decide what to pick up, what to drop off, what your mental health would be? How do you keep depression away? Or we call it high functioning depression.
I think for myself, it's I've definitely been keeping my mind. I think I've been so trained to keep my mind busy for the past 2 decades now that, when I do get to sit back, I'm like, dude, what else do I need to prove? What I need to take on? How much more how much more do I want to share with the public? Everything I put out there now is, it's going to be picked apart, right? Like,
Yes.
like if I put out, like, for example, the Trill Burgers concept, we want best burger in America. Now everyone's like, is it really the best burger in America? Some people, well, it's not that great, or it's overhyped, and you get that pressure, like, how do I keep tweaking it to make it better? Well, why didn't you like it? And that stuff gets you. We think about it all the time. Or can we hit the same sales goal this month? Or now do we scale bigger? Is the second location going to do as well? And there's a lot of things that
And it's crazy, guys. It's like out of nowhere, doing restaurant, doing fashion, picked up marathon. Like that would be the last thing on my list. That you like, can we pull it up, the picture of this guy? There you go. It's just out of nowhere, just decided, like, what, you never train.
I was definitely not I was definitely not training for it. It was dinner with one of our friends, and he said,
Was it there?
he said no, he was doing it. And he's like, oh yeah, my students are doing the half marathon. Some are just gonna walk it. I was like, I can walk it. I think I could do this. So I was like, I'm just gonna go sign up for it, and then I convinced 4 of my other stupid friends to join me and do it as well, that none of us trained for, and got to mile 11, my legs cramped out, I was tears running down my face, crying, like, why did I sign up for this? And then after that, after I finished, I was like, hey, you know what, that release was amazing, and I'm gonna train for another one and train for reals this time, which
Awesome.
I've been training for, but yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
And so, also, speaking back into liberal arts and content creations, obviously, I don't know if you know, but he's a rapper. David is a rapper. And so when I knew him before I knew he was a rapper, but then tell us a little bit about the video that we're gonna show, about the song that we're gonna play.
Before I tell you about that, to go back to the question about mental health, is like,
Yeah.
I feel like as creators or entrepreneurs in our field, we do experience almost the same thing, right? As you grow, you feel this pressure of, letting your team down or letting the people who follow you down, because it's like, oh, now there's from 10K following is different from 100K different from 500K. It's like, dang, if I were to put out something bad or like, a terrible recipe or whatever, now you have 500K people like just trying out that recipe, and then just it lets them down, right? So there is that constant pressure, and talk about mental health. I think it's something that I've always struggled with. Obviously, after walking away from my dream job being the French Laundry, just taking a break from that kind of just messed me up a little bit. And also, after losing my sister, I struggle with mental health a little bit. And it's something that I'm still, working on now, balancing that and social media. Like, people see the facade of like, oh, like all these numbers, he must be great. But I think behind every content creators or just anybody in general, like, there are battles that, they're dealing with in life and things that they don't talk about. But going back to my music or my rap career, or that didn't happen, but music was a way for me to express myself, right? Because for me, I'm not the type to, have a sit down, talk to my dad, or have a heart to heart. Being in an Asian household, like, we don't talk much. I can't talk to my mom, or just none of my friends. If I were to tell them my struggles, they probably wouldn't understand.
Yeah.
So music for me, when I write these lyrics, this was a way for me to, express myself and just put a little love and encouragement out into the world, and kind of a way for me to share my message.
And I think you touched a lot of points. Like, there's a lot of soft spots in us, right? I think people in the audience as well, where when you hear a lot of these stories, I really want to highlight struggles, lost, confused. So a lot of people come up and talk to us all the time, like, oh, I'm confused with what I'm doing. I feel lost, like I have this struggle. I'm like, you're on the right path, right?
Yeah, it's all a part of the process.
It's a part of the process, and then when you look back, or like you holding on to that failure story that you never released, but then you just look at it and then you keep fighting it, and when you hit success again, and you can release it at the same time, like I failed, but I got back up.
Yeah.
It's extremely important.
Well, for me, it's like a lot of my failures, looking back now, were blessing in disguise. At the time,
It hurt.
I don't know, like, yeah, right? It hurt so bad, like, damn, like, doing nails after working at the French Laundry or Club 33, right? But if I didn't do nails for, I don't know, 2-3 years, I wouldn't have a chance to pick up camera skills, learn how to create videos. Like, so that kind of translated into later on in life.
And also part of your music.
And music as well. But I'm grateful that now that I was able to experience those struggles, because if I didn't, I wouldn't be sitting here with you guys and sharing this moment with everybody.
And I think the words within this song spoke to me the most. And this is my favorite one of yours. So let's roll it.
Let it go. I did my best to hold it down, but I gotta address it though. I'm fine above the surface, truthfully stressing below. That's why I ain't been around lately, just like a merry-go. I've been busy putting in work so we can be good in every scenario. Gotta get these issues on my chest like I'm bench pressing. Weight of the world on my shoulders and I've been weightlifting. We all have problems our own and it ain't that much different. Ambition running low is burning slow just like an incense. Please love yours. Best believe J. Cole said it best. Rest in peace to my sister, I know she peaceful at rest. Mama crying out her eyes, little girl left her nest. Pop's getting older, what's next? Got a couple things I regret. I left the laundry and Napa job, but my dreams didn't happen. I took a break with a mistake, I guess that's me and my habit. My only enemy is me, so I'm to blame for what happened. But it's okay though, the only way is up cause I done mapped it. Life on a trampoline, I'm bouncing back again. Ain't no mountain high or valleys low to keep me from my dreams. Doing it for my team, OC is what it seems. I'ma pull up to the scene in Anaheim in a limousine. This one goes out to anyone who's going through it. Got a dream, you gotta pursue it, just do it. And if you're clueless, just know that every legend once started out as a student. Life's what you make it, man, I hope you make a movement. This for the heartbreaks, the teardrops if they question. Make them regret that you the one they ain't investing. Close your eyes and visualize, then one day you can manifest it. You got a gift, so give it y'all as if you festive. This here my message, my 2 cents penny. Top of flow, they gotta envy. Fill your cup and you feeling empty. It's anchored down, still holding it down. Fuck with me heavy, man, the future looking bright. Cause my vision 2020. I just wanna quickly say thank you to those who was there for me through my dark times. Y'all mean a lot to me, and if you listening right now, if you're going through depression, struggling with loneliness, just know that you are not alone. I go by the name of David, and I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.
That last phrase.
Yeah.
And the backgrounds. Believe. Just gotta believe. So with that, thanks so much for this little emotional talk that we have. So we're just gonna go right into a Q&A. So
All right, so the first question is for David. What's next for you? Do you have plans for your own restaurant?
What's next for me is to continue to build upon my social media presence. I do have plans to open restaurants when that's ready, but it's not something I can share with the public yet.
Next question I have is for Andy. Once you get past the initial breakthrough, millions of followers, millions in revenue, how do you deploy capital to scale? How do you avoid bad opportunities that present itself as a new market or trend?
It's hard to avoid, right? Because I'm always trying something different every time. The goal is always I try to outdo your last concept. How do you make this experience bigger, better? How do you make it unique? Or how do you scale to tons of locations? And sometimes it's not about, some concepts I do that I don't want to scale to 50 to 100 stores. And some are just meant to be like one great experience that's supposed to be set in this place and this time and this moment. And avoiding it, I think you just got to go through it first to really understand what it's like. I think if I didn't go through all the challenges and failures of different concepts and projects that I wouldn't be able to get the projects or be able to pursue the projects that I really wanted to do right now. I think I'm in a place where the concepts that I'm doing have to be something completely different, something fulfilling, something that just like really strikes me, that makes an impact. What kind of impact does it make to the community? So I'm looking for a lot of different things. You know, early on, you're like, hey, am I just building this to chase another dollar, or you know, what reasons am I opening these types of concepts for now? So I'm super particular about what I work on, and of course, I'm trying to avoid a lot of things. I'm trying to avoid, you know, bad apples, but it's hard it's hard in the business or just being an entrepreneur in general, or having different kind of partners, different kind of personalities, dealing with staff, what kind of new technology to take on. And you know, we just try, and sometimes it works for one concept and doesn't work for the other concept. And something that didn't work for this one, you know, just completely shines over here. And you know, we're always trying different things all the time, and some things work out and some things don't. And if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I'll move past it and move on to the next thing.
Yeah, I think it's not mentioned enough time within this industry, and people look at you or David or Paul or us or me, keep asking the question of, wow, you guys, everything you touch turned to gold. But then we never really show them, right, all of the failures along the way. And you know, what is the success rate for most of our concepts, really?
Success rate is super low. Like,
super low, yeah.
your
Super
chance
low.
of success in restaurant is like, the failure is 90-something% is in the first 5 years, your 90+% is your chances to fail. And I've experienced that. Next year is my 10-year anniversary in the food industry, and I've helped launch, I think, almost 90+ doors now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a good number is still here, but a lot of it's, you know, has closed or something's happened and doesn't work out, and that's okay. And I think the projects going forward are continually getting better and stronger, and I think I'm continuing to prove that with the things that I'm putting out, and having the right team. I think for me, the right team for me behind it, and I guess I'm going to keep chasing, trying to prove to people that I'm more than just, you know, this one category that everyone thinks I'm in. And I've continuously switched industries time after time, and you know, and I love doing that. And you know, I'm always trying to disrupt different industries that I enter.
This one is open to either of you or both. Are you incorporating AI into your content creation / business in general? If so, which platforms or tools do you suggest looking into?
Incorporating AI into business, I think we're always looking to that. We've done stuff with, you know, crypto and stuff into some of our businesses already. I think AI is something I leave over to more of my tech savvy partners, and you know, them educating me and guiding me through that process. But nothing yet. Haven't touched anything in the AI sector. I'm sure there are elements of AI and stuff that we're doing, but nothing like mainly.
I think on the video content creation side, I haven't touched base on any AI apps, but I'm very interested in that video editing AI that Kevin has, because that would save me a lot of time. Yeah, but as of now, not yet. Yeah.
I am using ChatGPT to help rewrite my emails.
Yes, yeah, that is true.
I was like, hey, sometimes I just write things. I was like, I'm just gonna write it myself, and then I'll just have ChatGPT like clean it up for me, and then I'll re-edit things and clean it up.
Use that.
I'm like, damn, that's. I was like, that I would not have ever written like this. So thank God for this. this thing.
But the big thing about David, though, like you said that you don't really use it too much, but I think AI has a huge effect, because the algorithm that we talk about, like what is algorithm really? It's artificial intelligence, really. It's machine learning that puts you technically on top. How do you hack that? Like, that was the question. Like, how did you grow that? I'm excited for good content and consistency. Obviously, you still have to kind of understand some sort of algorithms, or like when to post, you know, what time to post certain things that you do.
Yeah. I think the most important thing behind the scenes is to look at your analytics. So within every app, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, they'll have a scale for you of where your audience is from, when are they most active, and so you kind of post based on, you know, the most active time on. So my posting time for Instagram would be different from my posting time on TikTok versus YouTube. So just look into your algorithms, or I mean your analytics, and let that be the judge of how or when you post your content.
So you still have some kind of like do some sort of analysis based
Yeah.
off of your
Yes.
data.
But it's not a tool you have to buy, right? It already comes readily available
Yeah.
to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
How do you keep yourself in check that you're staying authentic in your content and not starting to build a persona based on what you think people might want to see?
I don't keep myself in check. I mean, just throughout my whole content creation journey has been me trying to figure it out, right? Because I was telling Paul or Andy earlier that I was trained to be in the back of house. I was trained to be in the kitchen. I wasn't trained to be in front of a camera. I wasn't trained to how to talk or how to film or so this is all new things that I'm trying to figure out, right? So if you were to compare my very first video to my video today that I'm doing, like you'll see it night and day in terms of like how I carry myself, how I compose myself. But to keep myself in check, I don't actually no, I have my girlfriend in the audience kind of keeping me in check. Like when she'll tell me when I'm on camera if I'm blurting or I'm doing something that is not how I normally talk, she'll kind of point that out. So I guess having a partner or just somebody present to help you with that. But nowadays is I'm not trying to show or trying to be somebody else. I think people want to follow you because they're interested in you. They're interested to learn about your life or your lifestyles. So I don't feel the need to put this facade or this whole different person in front of the screen. I hope that answered your question, Mindy.
Next one we have for Andy from Christina. 50 restaurants, multiple concepts, multiple partners. What is the end goal for you personally?
The end goal for me is, I want to help my community win. I don't want to win by myself. And that's why I have partners for every project that I do. Right? I don't do it myself. I know I can't do it myself, and I just want to help others win. Obviously at the end of the day, later on when I'm not opening restaurants or concepts anymore, hopefully just out there educating and helping others to avoid a lot of the big mistakes that I went through. I want people in my circle to win too, because it's nice going to be able to have time to go travel with your friends that you're winning with and celebrate together and have good times. And it's cool to see your community shift and change. And I want to be a good role model to obviously my kids, of course, and the community, because we need that. Because when I was younger, there wasn't many people that looked like me that were doing the things that I wanted to do, the careers that I wanted to follow. And now you have that. I have kids or the younger kids in the community that come up to me and go like, oh, I want to do what you, I want to be like you. I want to do what you want to do. And I was like, okay, well.
I was one of them.
Thank you.
True story. When I first came here, looking at Andy and Paul, I told myself one day I wanted to be Andy. I tried, I failed, but I wanted to be Andy one day when I grow up.
You could only be
So,
you.
thanks.
You could only be you.
No, I can't. Yeah, can't. But yeah, no, so he was a huge influence on my life, Paul too, and David. That's why this speaking event was so important to me, and why I chose it to be the last would be why I have these guys on the panel, because you inspire me from day one. That's why I started this whole entire thing, because of you.
This is for David from Lizzie. What were some strategies you used to create content that made you stand out from others? Do you plan out content weekly, monthly, etc.?
I think this goes back to what we discussed earlier about processes, right? And it's still something that I'm still trying to figure out because everybody operates differently, right? And I'm the type of person where if I feel strongly, let's say, for example, if I'm making crawfish, if I feel strongly about just sharing this crawfish recipe with my audience, I'm gonna go and do that. So I can't plan out, maybe weekly, my content calendar could be weekly, but in terms of monthly, I can't, because let's say that if I wanna make, I don't know, a papaya salad, if I'm planning from the start of the month and I wanna make papaya salad at the end of the month, by the time the end of the month arrives, my urge to make this papaya salad, my inspiration, like that feeling might die out. So I don't want to make papaya salad anymore. Or papaya just sold out everywhere. So I can't buy papaya now. So now I have to think of a new recipe. I have to R&D that recipe. So I can't plan content out that far. But in terms of strategies that made me stand out from the start, I didn't have a strategy other than just being extremely consistent. Consistency was what helped made me grow my channels. Yeah.
Like I said, consistency.
Consistency, keep that fire, start that fire, and then keep that fire going at a healthy pace without burning yourself out.
Awesome.
You thought a lot. You thought a lot about, and you talked a lot about papaya salad. Did you make it?
Really?
Did you make it?
I did make papaya
Oh, okay.
salad.
Oh, awesome. There you go. There's some new content. So we have time for about 2 more questions, so feel free. We keep going? Yeah, there you go. All right, keep going.
Okay, this is for both from Stella. Can you share a critical mistake you've made on your journey as a content creator and what you've learned from that mistake?
I think in my journey of content creating, early on, I think my mistake was I was putting out I think consistency is great, right? I was doing that, I was being consistent, but sometimes you're running out of things to talk about, or the element of surprise is gone, right? And I think I got so stuck into that habit where when I finally I was like, dude, this is draining me. This is, mentally destroying me, posting all the time and always being on my phone. I think what I learned from that was, just post when I have the content I'm happy with, or I'm ready to share, or the right content, because when that hits, that one piece of content is more meaningful than posting 20, 30 times, 30 times a day. I was like, just utilize what you want to share with the world in the correct way, and I think that's just it's been more effective for me that way, and healthier for myself.
To piggyback off what Andy was saying is you have to find a healthy rhythm. Yes, keep a fire going, or yes, start the fire, keep the fire going, keep that momentum going, but you have to find a healthy rhythm. If you are doing this for a living, you're gonna have to keep your numbers up, your engagement up, so you have to constantly show up. Because I think one of my biggest mistakes is taking too long of a break. With social media and dealing with the algorithm nowadays is once you take a break, let's say you got burnt out or whatever from making content, you take a break for a week, your engagement drops. So that affects the brand deal side. When your team is negotiating for brand deals, they can't say, oh, he usually does this numbers, but on the analytics side, it doesn't show the numbers that they're talking about. So one of my biggest mistake, I think, just throughout my content creation journey is taking too long of a break. Because I do get the burnout. I lose the feeling of, oh, I want to come back stronger. But also, I have this weird mindset of oh, if I show up too much, people aren't gonna miss my content. There isn't a desire to watch my content because they're seeing me 5 days a week, right? Just consistently. So they kind of get tired of it, oh, papaya salad again? Vietnamese version or a Thai version papaya salad? So yeah, so I think my advice is just not taking too long of a break. Yes, take a small break, but don't let it reach to a month or 2 months break where I've had happen because I was prioritizing my physical and mental health first. So, yeah.
All right,
Next question.
for both of you, from Michael. If you were given $5 and 2 hours to make the highest possible return on your initial $5, what would you do?
Great question, by the way. I don't know who asked this question.
Who asked this?
Okay, so you're given both $5 and you only got 2 hours.
The highest.
What project are you gonna put into to make the most amount of
This
money?
is the worst. I always tell people I'm the worst. But if you're talking about thinking about money making opportunity, entrepreneur, I don't think of, when I think of for building brands, yes, the money part, I know it'll make a lot of money, but when you ask me hey, we're gonna go do this to make millions of dollars, blah blah, I'm that doesn't really move me. I'm I guess And I'm like, okay, whatever. Can we go
You
do
can't
something?
avoid
I
this
want to do
question,
something
you know that, right?
I want to do something. I want to do something like for me, it's like it has to be cool, it has to be fun, exciting. When we talk about money, I'm always like, I get like this, like we're talking about like money deals or like my other partners here. We have to go through like accounting calls or stuff. I'm like, just don't put me on the call. Like, I'll figure out how to make things cool and get people to the door. You guys figure out the money part. Like, don't ask me how to make the highest possible return, because if you're gonna give me this giant budget, I'm gonna go spend all of it and do the craziest things possible. I'm gonna try to spend all of it just to, there's gonna be nothing left. Like, I'm gonna make there's gonna be all these
Exactly.
experiential parts of the store where you're touching and things are moving and props and stuff. I'm gonna spend all of it.
And that's essentially Mr. Beast's whole philosophy, by the way. Like, he's not even care for the money.
Yeah, like it'll come.
Like, yeah, all of the
like,
money
it'll
will
come.
just go
Yeah,
into that.
I'll make it one way or another, like to take care of my
So I'm
family and
sorry.
stuff. But yeah, if, you
Right.
don't, if it's money stuff, I'm like, go talk to the other guy. Go talk to my partner.
Whoever asked this question, you're never gonna get anything out of Andy. Right, David.
I think for me, I'll probably take that $5, give it to somebody in the audience, and have them take a picture of us, all four of us. We'll sign off, autograph it, right? Each one of us, and then just auction it.
There you go.
As
That's your business
memorable-
idea right there.
Yeah, to
$5.
commemorate this moment, and
That's
that's,
smart.
how I will flip it.
That's a
There you
good
go.
one.
How did your parents view your journey? Did they ever have expectations for you to be someone different?
My parents are very supportive, being that they're very traditional Vietnamese house. Like, we're a very traditional Vietnamese household, but they've always been supportive, because at the end of the day, or just I think with any Asian or Vietnamese parents, they want to see their kid happy, right? They don't want, I mean, having been through what they've been through, losing a kid, I think they would rather have one of their kids be happy doing whatever that kid is pursuing. But my mom always pushed nails on me. Always.
You got your nails.
I think at every stage of my culinary career, every time something like a misstep, say if I moved to Vietnam and trained and, came back short, like, maybe you should get a nail license,
Yeah,
have
you
a plan B, like, no, mom, like, let me cook, I was like, okay, cook, do your thing. And then, French Laundry had, okay, for sure, you're gonna need a nail
Your nail
license. Right? So, yeah, I mean, as much as they push the plan B or push nails on me, at the end of the day, they're very supportive, because they do see me making an income from it, and just seeing me thrive from, doing what I'm doing now. So,
I can relate to that. My dad's actually in the audience.
right?
When I told him that I dropped out of college, he was not very happy.
Yeah.
So if you blame me, Dad, I listen to him.
Okay. Well, the fact is, if your parents are from Vietnam, okay, they want you to be three things, right? Every single Vietnamese person: doctor, lawyer, pharmacist,
There you go.
right? And for me, obviously, totally disappointed in me from the start. They knew, they're like, oh, he's definitely not one of them. It's not gonna happen.
College.
I
Not
think
for
that
us.
my parents were begging me to, when I first dropped out, like begging me for years, even when I first started my clothing brand, to please go back to school. Like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? You're crazy. Like just go back. It's safer. That's all they knew. But I think seeing my parents growing up, my dad had two careers. Okay, one, he worked as a repairing hearing aids for a large company, and his second job was he was an illegal sports bookie, right? But what I learned through that journey of my dad doing that was that, hey, he's willing to do whatever it takes to take care of the family, and I carried that a lot with me to today. And my mom worked as a consultant in the plastic surgery field, so a lot of that was like me learning about aesthetics and how things look and how perfection. If you see my mom, like, you're like, oh wow, like she looks like everyone's like, is that your sister? Like, no, that's my mom. But a lot of those elements, like, I pick up from my parents. But they were praying, like, please go be a doctor. Like, why is he getting kicked out of school? We're gonna put him in this tutoring program, and you put me in the tutoring program, and all you do is seeing me hanging out with the girls, just chatting all day and not doing any work. And they're like, hey, we need to get him out of here. And so, it took him a long time to finally be like, okay, he's on the right journey. He figured it out. And it's definitely easier when they see me in the news or the Vietnamese newspapers or articles, and they can tell their friends like, oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
him now. So it definitely makes it easier.
Yeah, I had experience talking to your dad, and he was talking about you all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might not show it to you,
No, he
but he
definitely
shows it
doesn't.
to all of us.
No,
I'll
definitely
show you
does
off
not.
there one
So for David though, like obviously, I mean, have your parents ever tell you straight up, "I'm proud of you"?
That's tough because I don't. Well, I mean, even to this day, they still don't say "I love you."
Oh, no.
You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
like
Have you
so-
eaten yet?
Yeah,
Have you
right.
eaten yet?
It's always "Have you eaten yet?" or just calling to check in. But till this day, not yet.
Not yet.
Hopefully soon, but not yet.
My dad
Dad, take note.
my dad told me that for the first time last year, and I was like, no words. Like I didn't know what to say. I was complete shock. I was like, what? I was like, should I record the
wrong,
thing and
Dad?
repeat this right now?
Need a translator.
I guess we can go into the last question then.
Yes, final question, and this is the most serious question for David. What barber do you go to?
Oh my God. So I guess now because I did make a video about it, my hair has become a part of my brand.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? I made this crawfish video and posted on TikTok, and nobody was commenting on the crawfish. People were just like, man, that haircut, he looks like the Vietnamese Johnny Bravo. I have a barber, his name is Andy, at Andy's Cut.
Not me.
Right,
Yeah.
right?
Not related.
Across the street from Westminster Mall. But yeah, just tell them the style, and this is it. You could actually go in and say, hey, can I get the David Nguyen haircut? And they'll actually do it because
Oh my God.
after I made the video of just basically sharing how to do the haircut, he has had clients coming in asking
get a
him
David
to get the
Nguyen?
David Nguyen. So,
That's so
there
cool.
you go.
That's cool. That's cool. But now, so that was the last question. We're coming to a close, and I cannot be happier to share a stage with my mentor, my inspiration, and my muse. It's been always my dream for 13 years, from the first moment I met you to this day. And I cannot think of a better way for us to end this whole series by the three of you sharing what's in the sauce. And so what's in the sauce, we actually have a collaborations that obviously you guys have been talking about it, giving us a lot of inspirations, and there's a whole entire story to tell in our collaboration, and we're gonna be running it not next week. What is the date again?
20th to 23rd.
20th to 23rd at our newest location. And this is going out to our Kei Concept marketing team, right? So they asked me to give in a plug for our newest locations. Nip in the morning, Kin at night, and we're gonna be opening in Irvine. We're gonna be doing a little bit of collaborations to kind of celebrate the opening of that. And so these three items. So David, talk to us a little bit about your inspiration for the dish script.
For the entree, this was inspired by basically my journey, or one of the dishes that I was very obsessed about, because during a time back in 2010, again, when I had very little money, I ate at this place called Boiling Crab down the street, or the Boiling Crab, where they serve Vietnamese Cajun seafood boil. And I couldn't afford a pound of crawfish because being like a high school kid, and paying, I don't know, $13 a pound back then, like, man, like, this is so good, but I can't afford it. So I asked myself, what's in the sauce? So throughout my culinary career, I've been just research and development again and again, until I finally nailed my own version of Vietnamese Cajun seafood boil sauce. So
The most watched video, right?
I'm sorry?
You're like one of the most watched.
And it's one of the most viral videos that I have till this day. So I took that sauce and combined it with the lobster rolls that everyone's used to, which is, mayo and, lobster. But this has a twist on it, which is the best bite that you could get while eating seafood boil, which is having a corn puree, filled with corn puree, having the flavors and bite of lobster paired with fries seasoned with Cajun seasoning. Yeah.
So when I took the first bite, it was amazing. I can't wait for you guys to come out and try it. And so for the drink, I feel like that kind of like tie in David and Andy. We're here. This is American dream right here in Little Saigon in Orange County. So I felt it was fitting for us to have to use citrus and orange, right? And tell us about jasmine tea, of how did you come up? Because my favorite ice cream after ice cream was actually jasmine ice cream. So that's why I feel like orange, jasmine has to be the way to go. And tell us about a story about jasmine tea.
Jasmine,
Ice cream.
just you live around here, obviously jasmine milk tea is the thing I drank for years. And as we were working on flavor ideas for After's ice cream at that time period, I was like, I'm gonna turn this boba flavor into an ice cream, like an ice cream flavor. But not only that, I'm gonna make it lavender. And everyone's like, why you make it lavender? I was like, oh, jasmine sounds nice. Like, I think of Aladdin, nice colors, and let's make it lavender. It just sounds pretty. So that's how, if you guys see that color, that's how it came about.
It's one of the most so, right? I mean, like.
Yeah, still flavored still there to this day, and yeah, definitely, boba inspired,
Yeah, so tell kind of like your story really tied in with all of us here in Orange County. So it's like a jasmine tea with orange flavor, citrus flavor, jasmine tea mojito. And for the desserts, obviously, once again, you gave me the inspirations. What does that come from?
I'm a colorful guy, as you guys can see here, and everything. I like to create things with color, and try to incorporate things we eat as Vietnamese, and pandan, mung bean, and coconut. And I know you picked apart the milk and cereal stuff from
from After Ice Cream, which is also one of my favorite.
So this is like a twist on jia, and it's like a panna cotta version of like a mung bean pandan coconut.
Yeah, and then because the milk and cereal ice cream is so good, so I'm like, I'm gonna put mung bean on that cereal and just put it on top. So that's how it came to be. Let's tell the whole entire story of David and Andy together. I can't wait for you guys to taste it in Irvine. Napkin opening, already open for 2 weeks for training, but we're accepting all reservations soon. So cannot wait for you guys to try it. So one takeaway. If all the audience in here, if you have one advice for them, what would be the one takeaway for them?
I think throughout this journey, my journey, I think one takeaway that I would like to share is that in life, you're gonna bound to fall every now and then, but always pick yourself back up. Don't let that, whatever loss you took, don't let it affect you too much. Don't beat yourself over it too much. And that in each and every one of us, we all have a unique story to share with the world. And if you're pursuing social media, start today, because the lyrics in the song that you guys heard, all that happened prior to my social media journey. Everything that I spoke about in the lyrics that I wrote, everything was manifested, because I came from a very dark place and then just basically picked myself up and ended back up in Orange County, sitting in front of you guys with some of the biggest movers and shakers, and just giving back to our community and just want to see it grow.
Awesome, thank you.
Takeaway, since this is about content creation, is it only needs to be one post that can change your life and really shift things around, and it's just one moment, one interaction, one engagement with someone. Use it wisely. Don't be afraid. Have fun with it. Try not to let it consume you too much, maybe early on, but it's a journey. It takes a while, and it might take your 300th post or 1,000th post to get it, but once it lands, like, everything just completely shifts. And and I know the power of the social media, and everything you put out there, people see, and people remember the things I post from 5-10 years ago, and they'll approach me and talk about it, and I'm like, that's amazing to see something that this platform, has an effect on people, and hopefully we use it in a positive light, because it can be consuming. So just be careful with it and have fun.
Paul, any last sentences to close out?
I'm going to steal something that Andy posted not long ago. I think it was a couple months ago. I think one of the biggest impediments to posting content is that you're afraid. And you're afraid, or you feel like you have all these things that you need to do first before you deserve to post content. Andy posted, again, jumping off what you said earlier, like you posted something a couple months ago where it said, Andy, you used to be really scared about going out in public and speaking. And what changed, what flipped the switch was someone told you that when you're scared, that means you're too focused on yourself, and you're too selfish, meaning like you're just too caring about what you look like or how you'll be seen. However, when you shift your focus to being generous, like focus on you're doing this to help people, to make people better off than they were when they first came to you, then you become a lot more authentic. And then also just the generosity is pretty much what helps you land your content. I mean, there's a lot of people who are like assholes, and yeah, they go viral, but that's like only 1%, right? The rest of the content creators are some of the most generous people because they want to share and make people better with their content. So I think it's the most generous thing you can do if you push your content. So
100%.
Yeah.
And with that, that would be the closing statement. Would be we're here together. We're sharing all of this. I mean, by the way, this event is not making money. We lose money to make these kind of events. But that's why we're here. We're not here to compete. We're not here to split the pie. We're here to enlarge the pie. 13 years ago, I was happy. I hoped I was a source of inspiration for you. And along the way, he was the inspiration for me. And he was the inspiration for me. And now we're here with 1,000 employees, brands, for you, 50 plus restaurant, for you, hundreds of thousands of followers for you, thousands of franchises that you sold. All of us is our share economy, I feel. And just hope that, within the audience today, just one of you, just get a spark today. Go out there and create jobs, content, enlarge the pie, inspire the next generations. That's the only thing that we can hope for. So thanks so much for joining us today. It's the end of our series in this format, but I'm gonna be targeting a lot of these media platforms. And I hope to start my own journey as well to share my content for the next few years of my life. So thanks so much everyone for joining.